Academica Media. From Academica Media Studios in Miami, Florida, it's Big Ideas in Education, a weekly recap of inspiration and innovation in your schools.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Big Ideas in Education. I am your host, Dr. Sarah Boulos-Fye from Somerset Academy Schools, joined by another host, of course, Ryan Corella from Doral College. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Sarah. Good to see you.
It is great to see you. And it is great to have you all back on what is now the fourth and final installment of our series on celebrating incredible teachers, where we've been highlighting 1 week each one of the National Teacher of the Year Award finalists. So we had Whitney Aragaki from Hawaii, who's the 2022 Hawaii Teacher of the Year nominated, a science teacher. Kurt Russell from Ohio, who is the 2022, of course, Ohio Teacher of the Year, a history teacher. We've heard about Autumn Rivera from Colorado, who is another science teacher, the Colorado Science Teacher of the Year, or excuse me, just Teacher of the Year for all subjects. And now we're going to hear about Joseph Welch from Pennsylvania. What do you want to tell us about Mr. Welch from Pennsylvania, Ryan?
Well, continuing our tradition of highlighting awesome social studies teachers like we did last week with Kurt Russell, we are now going to talk about Joseph Welch, a social studies teacher in the North Hills School District of Pennsylvania. He's already a past recipient of the National History Teacher of the Year Award.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, right. So just continuing to collect that hardware.
He's used to it.
That's right. Oh, another award for me being a fantastic teacher. Yawn. No, this is great, and he's great. He's received acclaim for his innovative approaches to teaching the subject matter. You're going to like this one, Sarah. For example, to help his students build their skills in analyzing primary source documents, he created an escape room in his class where this history teacher when I was in school? He had his students analyze old historical documents to open lock boxes and learn more about American history in the process. The escape room game also helped his students build another important skills for historians: collaborative reading and teamwork. Heck yes. NextPittsburgh.com, that's a tricky one, summed up Mr. Welch's teaching philosophy with a great story involving him and his daughter. We love these kind of personal stories from our Teacher of the Year finalists, and I got a good one for you here, Sarah. This is from the article, quote, "He was walking along a Delaware beach this past summer with his daughter, Julia, then 6, who was searching for seashells to put into the bucket he carried. She picks up one shell and shows it to me, and I remember saying, 'That one has a hole in it. Why do you want that one?' And she said, 'Well, I can make an ornament out of it.' Another one was broken, and she said, 'I can make something out of it.' She kept putting these shells in, even a dirty one. 'That one's still beautiful,' she said. And just like that, she put it all into perspective for me. Everybody comes in with their own story. How often do you get that situation where somebody doesn't need help to be made into something better?" I mean, that's
wow.
So a few weeks back when we were chronicling, was it Whitney No, it was Autumn Rivera. She was talking about how she learned an important lesson in listening from her young student. And here's one where Teacher of the Year finalist Joseph Welch learned something from his little daughter, Julia, about how every student has something to contribute, and a student who may not be perfect is just an opportunity for a teacher to make a student's life better. And isn't that why we're all in this profession?
And I would even, I think, flip that, because I think it's an opportunity for the student to make the teacher's life better, right? Because when we say something about somebody coming in imperfectly, right, I would say it's based completely on our own biases and perspectives. And something that I have learned many, many times over is the holes that we may see in a person, to kind of take that metaphor that Julia did with the seashells, is an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity for us to see something beautiful. And I have been humbled time and time again as an educator when I have thought, oh, this kid doesn't know this or doesn't know that. Like, I'm here to help them, only to find out that what that child or how that child is learning and how they're expressing what they know, whether it's from their own experiences or culture or just life, is so much more impactful than the thing I thought I was trying to teach them.
Yeah. And it's something that we as teachers don't get to impart nearly enough to our students, but the student who you are able to really reach and then they reach you at the same time and then they achieve awesome things, that fills you with so much satisfaction, oftentimes more satisfaction than when you get the student who's already a high achiever and they just come out and continue to high achieve. But those are the students where when it's 10 years later and they just come wandering back into your classroom to say hi, those are the ones that make you smile the most when they come back and see you and they talk about how much of a positive impact they had in your life. Here's something I think you're going to like about what Mr. Welch does, Sarah, that really gets to this idea of, students reaching their full potential, even if they, might not be a perfect seashell when they're at their young age. One of the things that he likes to do when he teaches about historical figures is not just highlight them when they're at their greatest point, when they've signed the Declaration of Independence or they've won some great war, but he also highlights historical figures when they're young. So when he talks about George Washington, it's not just about winning the American Revolution or being the first president of the United States. He tells stories to his students about when George Washington was 21 and making mistakes, or 13 and making mistakes, so that students understand that historical figures are not these demigods who are immaculate, but are regular human beings.
Human beings, right.
And so all of the students in the classroom who are regular human beings are capable of that measure of success as well. And I think to me, that's one of the most important things that history teachers can teach, because often when we speak of the founding fathers, for example, we often talk about, we talk about them as these just mythical figures, right? That do no wrong, and they created this perfect document. And, at one point that, in one hand, that seems like a cause of for celebration for us. Like, wow, look at what these great people did. But on the other hand, it could be sort of demoralizing because you say to yourself, well, I could never be that. Right. And so it's important for history teachers to tell you, no, they're not mythical figures. They're human beings. They made mistakes. They made lots of mistakes throughout their life. And even when they were these great, amazing founding fathers, they were still making mistakes and they were still human. So don't feel like you can't be these people or be even better than these people just because you don't, because that you're not perfect. That's an important lesson. And it's something that Joseph Welch really highlights in his teaching philosophy.
It kind of brings me back a little bit to what Autumn Rivera from Colorado was doing, right? Helping her students to see that what they do makes a difference. And then again, kind of integrating a little bit of what Mr. Russell is doing out of Ohio, where he says, who you are and what you believe matters. You are just as critical to our history as any one of these figures, right? You are just as important. You are a flawed person, just like these historical figures were flawed people. And what can we learn? What do you think they learned? What challenges did they have compared to the challenges you have? And I know none of the educators highlighted in the past 4 weeks is an English language arts educator, but it takes me back to a lot of literacy lessons that I worked on with my students when we talked about themes and universal messages that are coming across through text throughout history. I think it's really easy for us to bring a piece of content in front of students and for them to feel as though this piece of content is completely divorced from who they are. This is completely separate from who they are, has absolutely no relevance for who they are. And it is our job as educators to help them see who they are in that. And if there is no relevance, do we need to look for better representation? Do we need to look for something? What is happening there? Because it was always my assertion with these students is that these pieces of literature, these grand things that we're looking at, there's something universal in here. There's something human here that connects us all. And you need to find your place in this big world of humanity. What is it that you are, and who is it that you are, and what is it that you're going to do to make an impact in those around you? And I think that's something that I'm seeing a connection all of these educators that we've highlighted has made a way to help their students see who they are and that their voice matters. And that is just something that is so beautiful, and that I hope that I have imparted in the students that I've been fortunate enough to work with.
Each of these 4 teachers are the best of us in terms of making their students active participants in the learning process. And as you noted, identifying their role in the subject matter that they are learning and showing that that subject matter can be used to affect positive change in their world. How can you not be inspired by these 4 candidates? Can they all win? Can we just make it a 4-way tie?
I cannot imagine the committee that has to make this decision. It's going to be a tough one. But if you'd like to learn more about Mr. Welch or any of the 4 candidates that we have talked about over the past few weeks, you can definitely do that at the ntoy.ccsso.org. And that is where you can learn about each of the finalists, learn about the process for choosing the National Teacher of the Year. You can see, I believe, all the individual states' Teacher of the Year. So you can go find yours if you're interested to see who is representing your state in this competition. And we're so grateful to have had you join us for this special series, I guess. And if you'd like to see more of this, or if you're interested in hearing more about what we're doing, please feel free to reach out to us. You can use the hashtag BigIdeasInEducation. You can find us at Academica Media. And we're really excited to have you be a part of this conversation. We wish the absolute best of luck to each of the 4 finalists that we've been discussing. And we'll be back next time with the regular programming that you're used to.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
The views expressed on the preceding program have been those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Academica, its clients, staff, affiliates, or advertisers.